joined by Jason Brewer, Executive Director at Unicorn Mineral Resources. Jason, always good to catch up. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, Dan. Great to be talking.
Good stuff. So last week you announced the long-awaited acquisition of a majority interest in the Klein Aub copper mine in Namibia following an extensive period of due diligence. So as it stands, this is initially a tailings and slimes opportunity with a significant amount of contained copper and silver. So can you tell us a bit about the history of the project and how this opportunity came to be?
Sure. Look, Klein Aub operated for over 20 years as an underground operation, actually. Operated a series of ore bodies, 3 ore bodies. When it commenced operation there was a resource of about 7.5 million tonnes. And they were mining copper grades, run of mine of about 2% copper, and silver grades of about 50 grams a tonne. So it was quite a high grade operation, underground, located an hour, 2 hours drive out of Windhoek, the capital of Namibia. Quite an extensive operation there. We were able to go there with the due diligence team to visit it. So it was very impressive to see. So you've got an operation, 20 years of tailings deposition. So there's quite a significant tailings dam there. But when it was actually operating as an underground mine, it was one of the most successful, one of the most productive, call it smaller copper mines there in Namibia. And Namibia has a very good history of copper mining activity and has a copper smelter there in Namibia as well, at Tsumeb. So it's got an extensive copper mining industry and history. And this mine itself was one which was very integral to the success of Namibia's copper mining.
Absolutely, yeah. So you mentioned in the news release that the metallurgy is complex and the due diligence period was quite extensive. So what were some of the challenges that you encountered, and I guess what's the plan for overcoming them as you look to move into?
Yeah, look, it was the metallurgy is complex for the tailings because obviously the tailings have already been processed, okay, and albeit back when it finished operation in 1987, so almost 40 years ago. So the tailings, to recover additional copper, additional silver out of those copper tailings is going to be quite complicated. There's no question about that. As part of our due diligence, we didn't just complete the kind of the obligatory legal, financial, and kind of high-level technical due diligence. We went to site, myself, Dave Blaney, one of the very, very competent geologists, the COO of the company and the technical director of the company. Anthony Legge as well, one of our non-executive directors, came with us. So we had a big team on site. We did sampling. We walked the ore bodies. You walked the full strike length of some of the ore bodies where they're outcropping on surface. We did the samples of surface, but we also looked at the tailings and some of the slime dumps there as well. And we did a very extensive sampling program there because we wanted to know the ability to actually recover the copper, the residual copper out of the tailings post it already being processed. That's a lot has changed in mineral processing over the past 40 years. So your ability to reprocess tailings and recover a lot of that value is there. But clearly we've done a lot of that work. There's more work which is being done now and over the Christmas and early New Year period. We need to make sure, any tailings project is generally lower risk, as you may know. You haven't got to mine it, you haven't got to crush it. In many cases, you haven't got to mill it. You've just got to reprocess it there, and it's more of a chemical reagents focused operation. The cost of the acid, the cost of all the other reagents, and so on. So we've looked at it. We've probably taken this further than any company I've been involved with in terms of due diligence over a project acquisition, and that's fantastic. To have been involved in that over the past several months has been really good. But the metallurgy of the tailings is something which we want to look at in more detail. Because that's an easy win. That's an easy win. You've got a very significant, 5.5 million tons of tailings sitting there at surface. And if we're able to recover some of that copper, some of that silver from there, then clearly that's going to add some significant potentially early earnings into the company. So that's the point there on the metallurgy. In terms of the hard rock resources, there's still, when this was operating as an underground mine, like I said, a relatively shallow underground mine, there was a resource there of 7.5 million tons. Over the 20 years, they only extracted 5.5 million tons. So effectively, there's still 2 million tons of resources which were previously and historically defined, which has that copper grades there of 2% and your silver grades there of over 50 grams a ton. So that obviously is quite, the metallurgy on that is pretty straightforward. And that is something which we're looking at from a next phase of work once we review the opportunity to get a quick tailings project up and going.
Great, yeah. So, sticking with the tailings, so all the materials there, once you've done the metallurgical work, is the route to production fairly simple?
Yeah, look, tailings projects, like I say, are typically lower cost from a capital perspective and from an operating cost perspective. Like I said, you don't have to do the actual mining. It's materials rehandling. You don't have to do a lot of the crushing. Again, you've already got that material which has gone through a milling circuit, gone through a crushing circuit. So a lot of it is down to that processing and being able to extract that copper and that silver. And as you've seen from the historical work which was done, and there's work which has been done, barely 2-3 years ago as well, you've got over 15,400 tons of contained copper there and 1.4 million ounces of silver. That's quite a significant, mineral endowment within tailings. Yeah, and you can come up with whatever factors, recovery factors you want to apply to that, whether it's a 50, 60, 70%, or even lower. But you still look at that and you see that kind of in situ value, the recoverable in situ value compared to the market capitalization of Unicorn. And then you get to see just what a very good deal this is potentially for our shareholders. So yeah, I think that's the key focus for us without question. And we'll push ahead with it as quickly as we can once we've got the results of this next phase of metallurgical work.
Sure. And alongside that, you'll be, increasing your effort over time on that bigger discovery opportunity.
Absolutely. Look, as I said, when we were there, myself, Dave, and Anthony were able to walk from the old processing plant center to where one of the shafts were, and that was a couple of kilometers, and it was in 35, 40 degree heat, so it wasn't easy. But you're walking there, and you've got a series of multiple parallel veins, and you can see the green copper. You can see that mineralization at surface, and literally it's just going down, down, down like this. So the existing hard rock resources, like I say, if you do the back calculations from initial resources of 7.5 million tons at 2% copper, 50 grams a ton silver, and they mined 5.5 million tons, you've got 2 million tons residual there in your hard rock. So that gives a lot of opportunity for us. Clearly doing further exploration, going through some of those old mine plans, underground mine plans, to work out exactly where some of those historical resources are. So that gives us the opportunity clearly to move ahead with this. Under the agreement, as you know, we've got the MOU is for a 75% interest with local partners there with the balance. I think when you look at the cost of that acquisition, which is predominantly share-based as well, and shares based at a very significant premium to where we're trading at the moment, it is probably one of the better kind of acquisition metrics that you'll see. Picking up almost 15.5 million tons of contained copper, 1.4 million ounces of silver for effectively a £1 million acquisition cost at shares at what? At 10 pence, which is what we're trading at, less than half that at the moment. So I think from a shareholder's point of view, it's a great value acquisition, very well priced, very well structured. And if we are able to demonstrate that early potential to extract the copper and silver from those tailings dams, then it's a great win for everybody involved in the company.
Absolutely, yeah. So it sounds like Klein Aub is the immediate priority, but looking ahead, is Namibia going to be Unicorn's primary focus? And in the RNS, you mentioned some other prospects being considered in the country as well.
Look, this is a great project to get started on Namibia. There's no question about that. We do still have, Unicorn still does have its exploration projects back in Ireland, but I think when you look at the difference in quality and opportunity, in Namibia in particular, there is some significant other copper and base metal project opportunities around. And, of course, when we travel all that way, it's not so far for me, but when you've got our technical director flying all the way from Ireland to Namibia, we'd be foolish not to look at these other opportunities. And we have. And clearly there's a lot happening in Namibia. I think it's certainly getting a lot of attention from some of the larger mining companies as well. And copper in Namibia's got a great history. So I think that's drawing a lot of attention as well, because copper is one of the most attractive commodities to be involved with at the moment.
Great. Well, always a pleasure, Jason. And I look forward to catching up on Unicorn again soon.
Thank you. Look, there's going to be plenty of news to follow here on Klein Aub and hopefully some other opportunities too. So thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.